Alright guys, we're back again with another segment for loading the bus. This is going to be about the toolkit going in the bus. And I want everybody to understand that I'm a contractor, and if I had my druthers, I have a 12 by 8 trailer that I would carry behind me for every tool in the world because it's full from top to bottom. But we can't do that. So I had to just back away from that and do an emergency toolkit. So for this particular bus, which is a Thomas International 1987 bus, got a 9-liter in it, straight gear transmission, I'm going to show you what I think that we need as a very minimum. And I'm going to start on the other side over here, and I got specific tools for a reason, and I'll go into those whys and whatnots right here. So I'm going to start on this side right here. A lot of these tools are from Harbor Freight or from Northern Tool. I like this wrench set right here. It came from Northern Tool, and it has 1 1/4 inch all the way down to 3/8. And I also have a 5/16 that goes with this set too, because I have a couple things that are 5/16 on a gauge. So to change the oil in the bus, it's 1 1/8 inch. So this is a wrench that you use to change the oil plug with. So you can tell that, you know, it's a big vehicle. So I got it up to 1 1/4 inch, and they're rolled up in this canvas bag. This rolls up and ties, and it keeps them from moving around and making a lot of noise. Next thing, $20 set of drill bits from Harbor Freight. They work great. You can catch them on sale for a lot cheaper, but these work really good. Titanium nitride, Harbor Freight, about 19 bucks. A good tube of clear silicone, and this is kitchen and bath. You can use number 1 or number 2, doesn't matter, but some silicone to stop a leak or something like that. If you got plumbing, something other, usually you can fix it with this. Next thing, this is a Harbor Freight multi-tool, and a few blades, and the blades are down here and they're loose, but what you don't see in this is one of those blades is made from metal, and it's expensive. They're about 20 bucks. This tool right here is about $20 from Harbor Freight, and I use it every day, or one just like it every day, and we found that they work probably as good or better than anything else. For the money, you just can't hardly beat them. And that's the reason we like this right here. That Harbor Freight, the nose of it fits in there good, and these blades work. They're universal blades, and they work with wood and whatever. So this takes the place of a lot of saws. You can cut a lot of pieces of metal. You can cut wood. You can cut aluminum. You can cut rubber hoses. You can cut a lot of stuff with the multi-tool, and you can also cut straight cuts and round cuts. So that's the reason that this is going in. And like I say, I use it every day, so I'm very familiar with the deal with this and what it takes to use it, and it does a lot of things, and it's cheap. Next thing, moving on over here, I like a DeWalt compact 18-volt drill. If you notice, there's a battery over here to the side of it. I like the XRP battery. The ones that come with it, like this one right here, are small and don't last very long, but this one will last 2 or 3 times longer. So when you buy a drill, make sure you get an XRP, and we use this DeWalt 18-volt more than anything else. I'm sure everybody has their own preference on this, but this is just something we already had, so we threw it in there, and they work really, really good, and they're fairly cheap. Next thing, a razor pocket knife. I carry one all the time. It's one of my favorite deals. I can throw it in my pocket. It's made out of plastic. They cost $3 at Walmart. They're super cheap, and they work great. Wonderful. Next thing, this black pair of pliers right here is really what you use to crimp a connector on for electrical connector in DC wiring. And stuff that's in the bus, if you don't have one of these, it breaks the connector up, and they won't crimp right. So I have a pair of these. This is also a Harbor Freight tool, 6 or 8 bucks. Next thing is a Sharpie marker. I keep that in there because I like to mark all stuff. If you're cutting something, it's nice to have something in the tool bag right there with you. Next thing is a pair of scissors. These are pretty good. These are Jangers, and they're a decent set of shears. You can buy these. Fiskars makes a set of them that are pretty nice. There's all kinds of ones, but buy a decent set that'll really cut something for you. And of course, no toolkit's complete without a hammer. My personal preference is I want a metal handle, and I also want the ripping claw, which comes straight back. And it's hard to go wrong with that right there because you can do a lot of stuff with it. You can break up stuff, you can do all kinds of things. So this type of hammer, metal, ripping claw, my preference for sure, absolutely wonderful. Next thing, we got this Fiskars. It's actually a corn knife. And the reason for that is that it has a big thick blade and you can use it to chop wood, chop brush down with it. You can do a lot of things on the road if you needed to, clearing out a campsite or something like that. If you had to chop something off to get in there, you know, this would work out real good. You want to cut some hot dog sticks, to roast some hot dogs or marshmallows, that's what you'd be using. This is also a Harbor Freight tool. It's a little saw that has made to cut regular wood, and it comes apart, comes with a couple blades. They're not very much either. They're probably $10 at the most. Of course, safety glasses, pair of safety goggles. This right here, electrical tape. Of course, you know, I'm an electrician, so I like electrical tape on everything. We also have some more tape on the other side. I'll show you that in a second. All right, moving up to right here. This is a 3/8 socket set with a couple different extensions and a swivel that I added out of my toolbox in my truck. Just had an extra one, so I threw it in there. But 3/8 all the way up to 7/8, and like I say, I'd want to have more, but at some point you got to stop. You just can't put so much stuff in the bus and tote it around with you. 16-foot tape line, absolute minimum. This right here is this is a drop cord. This is a 25-foot, but the one that actually goes in the bus is a 50-foot. And the reason for that is you want to make sure you can reach around the bus. If you got a receptacle somewhere and you got power in your bus, you want to make sure that you can use this, because some of these tools are electric, and if you were broke down, you'd want to use the battery power to run your inverter and hook up to those tools. So that's why we have electric tools in here that they run off the inverter. So drop cord, and it needs to stretch wherever the bus is at, so you need to be able to get to everything on the bus from wherever that plug-in is at. We have one in the back and one in the front, so 25 foot will do us. This is a regular, I can't remember the name of them now, but anyway, it's a flashlight, high grade one. And I like the big one because we use that, we keep it in the front, that way it kind of actually acts as a defensive weapon. You know, you can use it to hit somebody with on the head if you had to. So I like that. That's a mag light, that's what it is. My absolute favorite flashlight, this is, if you notice, it's pretty dirty. I use this one every day. This is a Coast headlamp that goes on your head. It has a little battery pack in the back, and I use it every day, all the time, and it is absolutely, without fail, one of the tools that I could not do without. And this right here, if you were working on something and it's in the dark, it is unbelievable how much better this makes your life. If you can use both hands and not have to hold the flashlight, you can hold it on your head. Next thing is Chicago grinder. I'm going to talk about that a little bit in a second. You see this paddle wheel right here? That little paddle right there is an absolute necessity. Because if you don't have one of those, you can't let go of it and turn that switch off. So if you're cutting something, it'll get you. And notice mine doesn't have a guard on it. I'm sorry about that, but I use it all the time, and I use it without a guard. But I'm not advocating that you use it without a guard. So use one if you buy it, get a guard. Metal cutting wheels. This right here will cut metal on the bus, grind off stuff. There's a lot of things you can do with the grinder to cut up and fix stuff in metal. And that's the reason I put this in the kit. Next thing is this is gasket material. If you notice right here, when I was making up my last set of gaskets to use on the thermostats, I actually drew me an extra one and put it in here just in case I had to swap it out. So this is just gasket material off the shelf at Advanced Auto or somewhere like that, and this really works good. And you can make a lot of gaskets up with this right here. This is a set of small bolt cutters. If you had to cut something off, a bolt or a lock or something like that, to get into something, small set of bolt cutters, invaluable. Set of locking pliers, channel locks, or vice grips that'll grip something that's been rounded off. Of course, Allen wrenches, a multi screwdriver, and also I like the 6-inch bits. If you notice, this is a number 2 square drive. All of my screws on my bus are number 2 square drive or number 3 Phillips. And this will take them out right here. This is what we use to take them out. And I use a 6-inch on the drill because it gives you a whole lot better, you can get closer to stuff, and even if something's down in there long ways, you can get to it. This is just a set of nut drivers that go in the drill from 1/4 inch all the way to 3/8. Set electrical pliers to strip wire. And I like these. These are from Harbor Freight. Use them every day. I'm an electrician by trade, and they work great. We use them all the time. This right here is another set of Allen wrenches, just a set that's, I don't know how it made its way in there, but anyway, it's Allen wrenches. Set of dikes, diagonal cutters, cutting wire. These particular wrenches right here are my favorite. They're Stanleys that come from Walmart, and if you notice, they got a wide mouth on them, and they really open up a long ways, and they can, I use them as a backup for a regular wrench. If I need to hold something on the back side, these are great to do that with, and they're invaluable. In this particular brand, it's a Stanley, and they work, and it's called a wide mouth. They're a little expensive as far as in the cheaper tool end of it, but come from Walmart here in Lynchburg, and they work great. The next thing is E-tool. This one right here has been with me since I was in the military. This is just a shovel that has a cutting edge on it. Entrenching tool. They're available all over the place. If you had to use, something got stuck and you had to dig yourself out, this will do it. Of course, some nylon cable ties. Here's the big ones, heavy duty ones, and the smaller 11 or 12 inch. And we keep those in the set. Next thing is I got a fluke meter, but any kind of decent electrical meter that you can use. This one's, I use it every day, so I got a fairly expensive one, but you wouldn't need all that. Even the little cheapos from Harbor Freight work pretty good. Sometimes they give those away for free. And I'm putting it all in a soft bag to keep it from rattling around. And I use 2 bags. I use a small bag inside the bigger bag, and I put all the little small tools in here, and so they won't get mixed up. All right, here's the next thing. And this is just an example for everybody, just what we're going to do. You can kind of decide how you're going to do that on your own bus with your own parts, but just as an example. The fan clutch that we took off, we talked about in our last video, was still in working order. It worked, but not as good as it should. So what we did was, we decided that some of these parts that we were taking off that were still serviceable, but not as good as what we wanted, we didn't want to rely on them every day. We wanted to change them here while we were at the house and not have to worry about doing it on the road somewhere. But we're going to put this and all the belts that came off. This is a set of belts that came off the bus. And so we're going to take those belts that are still working, we're going to put them in the bus with us so that we can have them on the road if we need. If we break a belt somewhere or another, it's better to have a used one that'll get you somewhere to a place than have something that you can't drive anymore. So with that being said, there's lots of small items that come off, and I'm not advocating, you know, taking a whole nother bus with you, but certainly some parts that make sense. You know, if you swap out a set of radiator hoses and the other ones are still in pretty decent shape, take them with you. Get some kind of repair kit to take care of your radiator hoses, your belts. On any kind of diesel motor, that fan clutch is a big deal. That thing right there they're expensive and they're hard to get on my particular bus, so we're going to take that one with us. And that kind of wraps up the tool part of it for us. This is the stuff that's going to go in the bus every day. We're going to leave it in there all the time, and that's the reason we're not trying to take everything in the world. Like I say, I would take my whole trailer if I could, because I know the value of tools for sure. But I think that these are a minimum deal for us, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video.